Shalom. I am Rabbi David, and today I am going to tell you something that will probably shock you. If you want to be wealthy, you need to stop praying for money. I know this sounds completely contradictory to everything you have ever been taught about religion and faith. You have probably been told that if you just pray hard enough, if you just have enough faith, God will open the windows of heaven and pour out a financial blessing upon you. You have been taught to treat prayer like a cosmic lottery ticket, but the ancient wisdom of the Torah teaches something entirely different. In fact, the Torah teaches that passive prayer without action is not just ineffective, it is spiritually incorrect. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of how the universe is designed to operate. When you sit in your room and beg God to send you money, you are actually blocking the flow of abundance. You are operating from a mindset of poverty and helplessness. Today, I am going to reveal the ancient Jewish principle of hishtadlut, which translates to human effort. I am going to show you why the wealthiest Jewish families do not pray for money, and I will give you the exact three-step framework they use instead to create massive generational wealth. To understand why praying for money keeps you poor, we have to look at one of the most dramatic moments in the entire Torah. In the book of Exodus, the Israelites have just escaped from Egypt. They are standing at the edge of the Red Sea. The Egyptian army is charging up behind them, ready to slaughter them. They are trapped. In a state of absolute panic, Moses does what any religious leader would do. He starts praying. He cries out to God for a miracle, and God's response is shocking. In Exodus chapter 14, verse 15, God says to Moses, "Why do you cry out to me? Tell the Israelites to go forward." Think about that for a moment. At the climax of their deliverance, God explicitly tells Moses to stop praying. Why? Because prayer had reached its limit. The time for asking was over. The time for action had arrived. The Talmud in Tractate Sota explains that the sea did not split while Moses was praying. The sea only split when a man named Nachshon ben Aminadav walked into the water until it reached his neck. The miracle did not respond to the prayer. The miracle responded to the action. When you pray for money without taking action, you are standing at the edge of the sea, waiting for it to split. But the universe is waiting for you to step into the water. And for those who are truly serious about accelerating their journey, for a limited time, I am opening the doors to the Torah Millionaire Business School for just $299. This is where I unveil the complete Torah wealth system. It is the full architecture of ancient wisdom applied to modern financial transformation. The doors are closing soon, so check the link in the comments. Let me tell you a story about a man named Adam. Adam was a deeply religious man who was drowning in debt. He spent hours every single day in the synagogue, reciting psalms and begging God to send him a financial breakthrough. He believed that his intense devotion would eventually be rewarded with a sudden windfall. He thought that if he just proved how much he needed the money, God would intervene. But his debt kept growing, and his family was suffering. He came to me, frustrated and angry, asking why God was ignoring his prayers. He felt betrayed by the very faith he had dedicated his life to. I told him that God was not ignoring his prayers. God was waiting for his hishtadlut. I explained the concept of human effort. I told him that the great Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto taught that effort is required not because it creates the income, but because the effort itself is the spiritual vessel that holds the blessing. I told Adam to cut his prayer time in half and use that extra time to learn a new high-income skill. He was offended at first, thinking I was telling him to abandon his faith. He argued that the Talmud says God sustains all living creatures, from the largest animal to the smallest insect. I reminded him of the rest of that Talmudic passage, which clarifies that while God sustains the animals without effort, human beings were created to serve their Maker through action in the physical world. He was desperate, so he listened. He started studying digital marketing. He stopped begging for a miracle and started building a vessel. He spent the hours he used to spend crying in the synagogue, learning how to run online advertising campaigns. It was hard, frustrating work, and there were many days he wanted to quit and go back to just praying. But he pushed through. Within 6 months, he landed his first major client. Within a year, he had paid off half his debt and built a sustainable business. He realized that his prayers had not been unanswered. They had simply been waiting for him to provide the physical structure for the answer to manifest. His faith did not disappear, it matured. It transformed from the passive faith of a child, waiting to be fed, into the active faith of an adult, partnering with the Creator. The first step in the Hishtadlut framework is to create a vessel. In Kabbalah, there is a concept called Tzimtzum, which means making space. Before God could create the universe, he had to contract his infinite light to make an empty space where the physical world could exist. You must do the same thing with your wealth. You cannot just ask for money. You must create the specific physical space for that money to occupy. This means building a business, developing a skill, or creating a service. If you pray for rain, but you do not build a cistern to catch the water, the rain will just wash away the soil and leave you with mud. Your business plan, your resume, your investment strategy, these are your cisterns. The Talmud in Tractate Betzah says that a person's income is determined on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. But this does not mean you can sit back and wait for a check to arrive in the mail. It means the potential is allocated, but you must build the plumbing to bring that potential into your bank account. Think of it like electricity. The power plant is generating massive amounts of electricity, but if you do not wire your house and plug in a lamp, you will still sit in the dark. You cannot pray for the room to light up. You have to do the physical work of wiring the house. When you stop praying for money and start building vessels, you shift from being a passive beggar to an active partner in creation. You stop asking God to do your job, and you start doing the work required to hold His blessing. The size of your vessel determines the size of your wealth. If you build a small vessel, you will receive a small blessing. If you build a massive, scalable vessel, you will receive massive, scalable wealth. The second step is to give first. This sounds counterintuitive when you are trying to build wealth, but it is a core principle of Jewish financial wisdom. The Talmud teaches that giving tzedakah, which is often translated as charity but actually means justice or righteousness, is the most powerful way to open the channels of receiving. But this is an active process, not a passive prayer. When you give, you are physically demonstrating that you are not operating from a mindset of scarcity. You are proving to your subconscious mind and to the universe that you have more than enough. Proverbs chapter 11 says, "One person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty." When you pray for money, you are focused entirely on your own lack. When you give money, even a small amount, you are focused on your abundance. You are acting like a wealthy person before the wealth has fully materialized. This action shifts your frequency faster than 1,000 hours of prayer. It breaks the cycle of desperation and aligns you with the divine flow of generosity. Let me share the story of a woman named Naomi. Naomi was a freelance writer who was struggling to make ends meet. She was constantly stressed about her bills, and she spent a lot of time praying for higher-paying clients. But the more she prayed, the more desperate she felt, and her desperation was repelling potential clients. She was operating from a deep sense of scarcity, and clients could feel that energy in every email she sent. I taught her the principle of active giving. I told her to stop praying for clients and to start giving away a portion of her income, no matter how small, every single week. I also told her to give away her expertise by mentoring a younger writer for free. She thought I was crazy to suggest giving away time and money when she had so little of both. She argued that she needed to save every penny just to survive. I explained to her that saving out of fear is just another form of poverty consciousness. I told her that she had to break the cycle by doing the exact opposite of what her fear was telling her to do. She trusted the process. She started donating $10 a week to a local food bank, and she found a college student to mentor. The psychological shift was immediate. By giving, she forced herself out of the victim mindset. She started feeling like someone who had value to share, rather than someone who needed to extract value from others. That new confidence bled into her client pitches. She stopped sounding desperate and started sounding authoritative. She began to negotiate from a place of power rather than a place of need. Within 2 months, she landed a contract that paid her triple her usual rate. She learned that active generosity is infinitely more powerful than passive begging. Giving was the physical action that proved she was ready to receive. The third step in the framework is to move your feet. This is the ultimate expression of Hishtadlut. You must take the smallest possible concrete action toward your financial goal today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. The book of Proverbs says, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." The Torah is brutally realistic about the physical world. It does not romanticize poverty, and it does not pretend that wealth falls from the sky. It demands action. Even when God provided manna from heaven for the Israelites in the desert, they still had to go out every single morning and collect it. God provided the miracle, but they had to do the work of gathering. If they stayed in their tents and prayed for the manna to float into their mouths, they would have starved. You must go out and gather your manna. You must make the phone call, send the email, launch the website, or ask for the promotion. You must take the physical step that proves you are ready for the spiritual blessing. Many people suffer from analysis paralysis. They spend years researching, planning, and praying, but they never actually launch their product or start their business because they are afraid of failing. The Torah teaches that imperfect action is always better than perfect inaction. The Talmud says that a person should always be engaged in action, even if it is not the perfect action, because movement creates momentum. When you move your feet, you signal to the universe that you are serious. You create a vacuum that the universe rushes to fill. If you are waiting for perfect conditions before you take action, you will wait forever. The conditions will never be perfect. You must step into the water while it is still raging, just like Nachshon did at the Red Sea. Only then will the waters part. Let me tell you about a man named Joshua. Joshua had a brilliant idea for a software application. He spent 2 years perfecting the idea in his head, writing down features, and praying that an investor would somehow discover him and fund his project. He was waiting for a sign from God before he took any real action. He convinced himself that his hesitation was actually patience, and that his fear of failure was actually spiritual discernment. I told him about the Israelites at the Red Sea. I told him that God was not going to send an investor to his living room while he was sitting on his couch. I told him he had to step into the water. I challenged him to stop praying for an investor and to start building a prototype, even if it was clunky and imperfect. I told him to move his feet. I explained that the universe rewards momentum, not perfection. He finally stopped waiting and started coding. He built a basic version of the app and put it online. It was not perfect, but it was real. It had bugs, the design was flawed, and it lacked many of the features he had dreamed of. But because it was real, people started using it. They gave him feedback, which allowed him to improve it. Because people started using it, an investor noticed it. The investor did not care that the app was imperfect. He cared that Joshua had the drive to actually build something and put it into the world. Within 8 months, he secured his first round of funding. The miracle happened, but it only happened after he took the physical action that made the miracle possible. Joshua learned that the sign he had been waiting for was never going to come from the sky. The sign was the action he was supposed to take. The ancient Jewish approach to wealth is not about abandoning faith, it is about elevating faith into action. Passive prayer is actually a weak form of faith because it assumes that God will do all the work while you do nothing. True faith, the kind of faith that builds generational wealth, is the belief that God has already provided the raw materials, and it is your divine responsibility to build something magnificent with them. When you stop praying for money and start creating vessels, giving generously and moving your feet, you align yourself with the fundamental laws of the universe. You stop waiting for the sea to split and you start walking into the water. You become a partner in creation, and the universe responds by rushing to support your efforts. I want you to make a commitment right now. Today, I want you to stop asking the universe for money. Instead, I want you to take one concrete action to build your vessel. Register that domain name. Make that sales call. Write that business plan. Give a small amount to charity to break your scarcity mindset. Do the physical work required to hold the spiritual blessing. This is not going to be easy. It is much easier to close your eyes and pray than it is to open your eyes and work. It is much easier to blame God for your lack of wealth than it is to take responsibility for your lack of action. But if you want to break the cycle of poverty, you must embrace the discomfort of hishtadlut. You must be willing to fail, to look foolish, and to struggle, because that struggle is the very friction that creates the spark of wealth. You must also be prepared for the resistance of the people around you. When you stop praying for miracles and start building vessels, the people who are still waiting for their miracles will feel threatened by your action. They will tell you that you are becoming too materialistic. They will tell you that you are losing your faith. They will try to pull you back into the comfort zone of passive prayer. You must ignore them. You must remember that true faith is not demonstrated by how loudly you pray, but by how boldly you act. The greatest spiritual leaders in Jewish history were not monks who hid in caves. They were active participants in the physical world. King David was a warrior and a statesman. Maimonides was a physician. Rashi was a community leader. They understood that the physical world is not a distraction from the spiritual world. It is the arena where spiritual truth is proven. The next time you find yourself begging for a financial breakthrough, stop. Ask yourself, what vessel have I built today to hold this breakthrough? Have I made the space for the blessing to land? If the answer is nothing, then get off your knees and get to work. The universe is waiting for your move. Tell me in the comments below what specific action you are going to take today to stop praying and start building. I read every single comment, and I want to see who is truly ready to step into the water. If this video challenged your perspective on wealth and faith, subscribe to this channel. I am committed to bringing you the unfiltered, ancient wisdom that actually works in the real world. Remember, the miracle is waiting for your action. Shalom, and until next time. And if you are truly serious about accelerating your journey and applying these principles at the highest level for a limited time, I am opening the doors to the Torah Millionaire Business School for just $299. This is where I unveil the complete Torah wealth system, the full architecture of ancient wisdom applied to modern financial transformation. The doors are closing soon. The link is in the comments.